Hello and welcome to Earth Day at Scotch Plains. Earth Day started in 1970 and so many great changes have happened at global scale for the environment. But all of it begins with small steps and communities coming together, creating a synergy and an energy in their town. And it's no different here in Scotch Plains, where some great changes are about to happen with this property behind me. Glover, it is Earth Day in Scotch Plains.
Yes.
Little rainy weather, but I think the sunshine is going to come out as it always does with Scotch Plains.
Sunshine always comes out in Scotch Plains, as we all know. And what an exciting day. I mean, you know, we're Earth Day, where our community celebrates our environment and takes note of the importance of caring for it. And also today we launch our community garden, which is really an exciting event that we are going to have today. And it's going to be ongoing, where we are going to have folks, procure plots and plant their own vegetable gardens throughout the entire season. Something we've never really done before, something that we've talked about many times, but finally are getting around to doing it, and that's because of the hard work of several people who I know you'll be talking to soon. So it's an exciting day for all of us here in Scotch Plains, and what's really exciting is today we stand at what was formerly known as the Terry Lou Zoo site, okay? And it's a property that the township procured 12, 14 years ago and let sit dormant. Well, we're transforming this park into a passive park, which is going to be a wonderful addition to our community parks program. And with it, we will have a walking path, we will have a gazebo, we will have the community garden, we'll have a place where people can come, sit, chat with their neighbors, and just enjoy what is around them. And it's something that is very unique to the community. We don't really have a passive park as such, but what's most important is that we are finally finding the fundings to do this, and I'm pleased that my administration is completely supportive of this effort. And along with that, next to us we have the Frazee house, which dates itself back to the 1700s. It's got a wonderful history story that goes with it, which I understand will be shared with you soon, so I won't take the wraps off of that, but it too is in desperate need of restoration. And again, this year, we have finally found the funds to work in partnership with the wonderful folks at the Rotary to bring life back to the Frazee house. So it just doesn't get better. So albeit the bad weather, it's a beautiful day, for the community, for the residents of Scotch Plains. And as always, we thank you for being here and for allowing us to share this story with the entire community.
Well, I think it's wonderful because Earth Day really does bring out the community to educate, to celebrate, to share, and it's wonderful to start that, again, as you said, in such a historic place, in such a place that has offered so much to our community in terms of the zoo and all of those opportunities through the years.
Well, absolutely. And, to all the folks watching, you all know this, you've heard it before, we only have one planet. It's ours. We are its caretakers, and here we play our small part in it, educating, our youth and reminding our seniors of the responsibility that comes with being a caretaker of our planet. And what a better place to start, than in this piece of property that was long neglected. And as you can see, it's a marvelous plot of land. I'm going to be so excited to bring you all back here and share with you what it will evolve to and the value it'll bring to our community, something we've talked about, seems ad nauseum. But finally, we will get this project done. And as I said, nothing will be more exciting to me than to take the wraps of what will be one of the most spectacular passive parks in Union County, one that we will all cherish for years to come. So stay tuned, folks. We're coming back.
Thank you, Mayor Glover.
Thank you so much.
I'm with Chrissy Spahn, the chairperson of the Environmental Commission here in Scotch Plains. And Chrissy, who better to talk to today than you to let us know? I mean, there's so much great stuff going on. And as I understand it, let's just start because you actually designed the t-shirt.
I did. I designed the t-shirt. It's the earth with a nice tree growing out of it, and we have a Scottish thistle.
I have my very own. Thank you so much.
Good.
So tell me a little bit about how you started with the Environmental Commission.
So I'm a college student up at Ramapo College of New Jersey, and I started working with the commission just out of environmental need. The commission was around in Scotch Plains for many years, but due to a lack of volunteers, it fell out of group. And last year in 2015, we were able to restart it up. It's a mayor-appointed position, but we have a small group of volunteers, always looking for more volunteers. But we work as an advisory board to the town, looking over, planning, zoning, that kind of stuff, anything to do with the environment. So whether it's water, air, fauna, flora, that kind of stuff. But we also try to do a lot of community outreach, so planning events that young families can come out to, older families, anyone who wants to be involved in any part of the environment, they can get involved.
So how did you come together then with the gardening communities to bring this today for Earth Day?
This was a great collaboration project. Everyone wanted to do a little something for Earth Day. So thankfully we were able to get a great group of people with lots of great ideas to come together, brainstorm, have multiple components to it, and just have a good time.
That's fantastic. And what do you have in store throughout the year? Are there other events or ideas that the commission is planning?
Right now we don't have anything set in stone, but we would love to have another event sometime during the summer for families to come out to.
Great, fantastic. Well, tell me a little bit more. I think there's some seeds over here. What do we have for the community?
So the community garden made these little packets, and they are Scottish thistle seeds, and it tells a little bit about the history of them as well as how to grow them. But yeah, it's the town plant, so it's a nice little thoughtful commemoration.
Fantastic. And I know we've got some vegetables out here as well today. I mean, that's just what's to come, right? The garden is going to grow.
Exactly. They're having raised beds for people to come and rent out to really get together as a community and grow. Their motto is "Come grow with us," so it's very fitting.
That's great. What do you recall from just your childhood with Earth Day? And did your parents take you out to events like this? Do you have some of that history with you that you carry with you?
Well, my family is very outdoorsy. We do a lot of things regarding fishing and just outdoor conservation and that kind of stuff. So grew up outside. So that's where I think my love of it came. But in grade school, we did a lot of things like planting for Earth Day, getting involved, and I think it's very important for the younger generation to know about not only the beautiful wonders of the earth, but also about the devastations that are occurring due to industrialization and just how humans impact the earth. So the more that they can learn at a younger age, the more that they can take action as they get older. So I think it's very important for young kids. I was involved in it, and I think that's part of the reason why I'm so involved today. So
that's fantastic. Well, it sounds like you're a great chairperson for the Environmental Commission, and you'd be clearly a great mentor for the young students who come out. So definitely, as you heard Chrissy say, they need volunteers. So definitely check it out. Go online, check out the website, and do more for your community here. With me right now is one of the chairs of the Scotchwood Fanwood Community Garden, Lynn Susan. And Lynn Susan, I'm really excited to talk to you more about the details of sort of, how this community garden came together. I know it's been a big collaboration that started about a year ago. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, thank you. We started about March of 2015. It was just a group of citizens who came together who wanted to do something for the community. And we kind of put feelers out and found out that a community garden would be something that we could all participate in and that we could get a good response from the people in the community.
The Frazee property and the history behind it, that makes it extra special as well.
It does, because we are establishing a garden, and this was originally a farm, so we're really trying to get the land back to its original purpose.
That's great. And in terms of the work that you'll be doing throughout the course of the year, can you let the community know a little bit about the details?
We're going to be renting approximately 30 beds. They will be raised beds. We're looking forward to partnering with Groundwork Elizabeth and we will have the beds set out. If you go onto our Facebook page, we'll have a sketch of what the garden will look like. So we're going to have the plot, which is 100 by 80, divided into 4, and 2 beds will be 2 quadrants will be 15 beds each. The other 2 quadrants, we're going to establish remediation gardens, which will be sunflowers and native grasses and a few other things that when they grow, they also return nitrogen to the soil and make the soil really habitable for plants.
That's wonderful. And so do you think a lot of this will be happening this summer? By the end of the summer, we'll be seeing some of that progress?
Yeah, we hope to start building our beds around June 10th, June 11th, something in that area. And we hope that the community will come back and start their planting around June 15th.
That's great. And from a personal perspective, what do you love most about gardening?
Oh, what do I love most about gardening? I like the reconnection with the earth. I think that that's really important. It kind of stabilizes the mind, gets you out into nature, and you really make a connection with the plants and watch them nurture and grow. And it's really not only fun, but it's restorative.
That sounds wonderful. Well, I hope to be back here with you, learning some of those tricks that you might have up your sleeve for keeping the garden green. So, Mr. Mirabella, we're out here for Earth Day here in Scotch Plains. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's nice. The weather is starting to cooperate now. It was raining a little bit earlier, but it's always nice to see people come out and celebrate Earth Day.
Yeah. So I've learned a lot about this property behind us now. You know, over a decade ago, Scotch Plains bought the property. The Frazee house is here. Great history here. What can you tell us a little bit more, in detail about it?
Well, it's nice to finally see this whole park coming together with some movement and some action. And we have a lot of plans. And the mayor and council working together with the Rotary Club of Scotch Plains and Fanwood is really taking the next step to this property and preserving the history we have in Scotch Plains. With the Frazee house and all the things, there's been a significant commitment on the mayor and council's part for funding. They're going to be going out for grants. And I give the Rotary a lot of credit. They saw this property, they wanted to preserve it, they're working hard to do it, and now there's great partnership with the township to get that done. So I'm excited about it. I'm a big history guy, and we have to preserve our history in Scotch Plains.
Right. That's great. Have you come out with family or relatives here to the Frazee house and talked about the history of it?
I have. It's nice to walk here. I mean, this space is a wonderful space, and you can see behind us there's a lot of activity. For Earth Day, we're celebrating Earth Day and the environment, caring about it. We're going to be recycling in our parks this year, which is really important, taking a next step to preserve our environment. So this is really a good, I think, catalyst for the rest of the community. Take advantage of this day and have the community garden here on site. It's all coming together nicely. It's wonderful.
And there's a walking trail as well that we've been discussing.
There is. I mean, site is designed for a very passive park, hidden right across from the golf course, but nice for Scotch Plains residents to come, walk through this area, see the community garden, see our history. It's all coming together. It's going to be wonderful.
Great. And in terms of the community support and coming out to support the parks, is there anything special that the community can do?
Well, just take care of their parks and come out, and we had a nice support this morning for people to come out and clean up this area. But if you're in your parks, take care of them. Clean up, clean the environment. Come, give your thoughts, and let us know what you want to see happen in this park and what's going on, and it's going to be wonderful.
Great. Well, we look forward to future Earth Days being celebrated here with the gardens in full bloom and lots going on.
Absolutely. And, the community garden really has found a nice home here, and I think it's going to be great. People are coming. They're excited about it. They want to plant, and they want to do things. And one of the good things is, the Frazee property back in the history had gardens and such. Back in the day, there was a working farm before it was the zoo property. And, it's almost going back and replacing some of the pieces that were here that were lost. So it's a great addition to Scotch Plains.
Well, a great history and rich culture here in Scotch Plains. So it's good to be reviving that.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Pleasure.
So, Mr. Calamaris, let's talk about this grand rehabilitation that's happening here at the Frazee House. And it sounds like you're the man who knows most of not only the history of and also just the progress and how this is all going to turn out.
Well, in 2005, Rotary had Rotary International was their centennial year, and they asked every Rotary Club to do a bricks and mortar project as part of the centennial celebration. Most Rotary clubs bought park benches and things like that. We got the crazy idea of restoring this house. And we were a bit naive at the time, had no idea, we were very naive at the time, had no idea what it was really going to take. And when we really got into it, we realized it was a major undertaking and it wasn't going to happen in a year. However, we had generated so much interest that we decided to move it forward. And we set up the 501c3 foundation, which actually oversees all of this. And it's been a struggle. We've gone through different administrations, which some were supportive, some were not. It takes a lot of money. And then we hit 2008, and it was difficult to raise money. We've got a lot of support, however, from the New Jersey Historic Trust, and from the county now has given us quite a bit of support, not only financially. They've gotten behind the project, if you will. We're at the point now, we've structurally stabilized the house. About 5 years ago, we put steel superstructure from the basement up through the ridge, so there's no danger of the house falling down. We took parts of the chimneys off because they're unstable. And if you go inside, it really does look like it's a mess. So you have to be able to picture what will be, not necessarily what's there. There's still some contemporary structures that are attached to the house will come down. And we're just finishing up a phase of architectural work and engineering work. And probably by the end of this month, we'll have all of the plans and bid documents ready to go for the first phase of reconstruction. The town has actually put in their capital budget a significant amount of money, which will aid us because we can then get matches from the state. And if that all goes according to plan, I would think you would start to see things really happening here sometime near the end of next year. It's taken us a long time to get to this point, but we're on a roll. I can now think I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I never dreamed it was going to take this long.
Yeah. Can you sort of paint a picture for us of what, once we open these doors down the road after the rehabilitation, what that'll look like?
Well, it's a little bit uncertain what the final outcome will be. We're sure we're going to restore the first part of the house, which was the original section built in 1740, and it's basically a kitchen, and that's where, if you're familiar with the Aunt Betty Frazee folklore, where she basically, they asked her for bread, Cornwallis and Howe, for their troops, and she said, "I will give you bread out of fear, not love." And they supposedly, graciously, the British gentlemen that they were, said, "Well, then we will not take your bread," and they moved on. It's my understanding they pillaged the farm, took all of the chickens and horses, but that's another story. But anyway, this is the kitchen where she would have baked the bread. The beehive oven has been partially destroyed. We'll have to reconstruct that. And then the rest of the house, there is two fairly spacious rooms. The concept we'd probably use them for meeting rooms, make them available to the community. But we want to leave a part of the house, the walls open so people can look at the construction. If you're a historic architect, there's a lot of historic interest in this house because of the type of architecture that's here. And there are actually two phases. The original phase, which was built by Gershom Frazee, has some unique style to it. And then the second part, which was probably not built by him, is another totally different style. And I get requests very often for people from all over the country to come in here and study the house. So we're going to try and leave part of that available to them. One thing I've been told by the Historic Trust, what we don't need in New Jersey is another historic museum. So we're going to try to make it an interactive place, something that can be utilized, yet there'll be some history here and people can appreciate what they have. And the other thing that makes this unique is the 6 acres of property. That's pretty much unheard of in New Jersey. And if you go up on the upper level of this property and look out towards Raritan Road, in Terrell Road, you could almost imagine what it looked like during the Revolutionary War, because it's still that original.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the town's really starting to get behind it, and the plans they have for the other 5 acres, I think, are just going to enhance everything we're trying to do. So, I'm now convinced it's going to happen.
Well, it sounds fantastic, and it's definitely going to be great to see as it progresses, and certainly that finished product, and just having a lot of members from varying communities come here.
Actually, we think it could be a profit center for the town. We think there's ways that we could get income out of it, just because of all the historic interest.
Yeah, and just great stories. I mean, a great opportunity for families to come together,
Absolutely.
educate, learn, share.
Well, the school system in Fanwood and Scotch Plains, the 3rd graders and 5th graders study the Frazee family and the Frazee house, and they come here. They can only, unfortunately, walk around now. At some point, though, they'll be able to go inside and see the property.
That's great. Well, speaking of going inside, I'd love to get a tiny little tour if we can.
Welcome to the Frazee house.
Thank you.
Now this we put in, I think, sometime around 2009. The house was really in danger of falling down. There's a significant amount of structural damage. The main beams in the basement, there's probably only one that's really good. The rest of them are all going to have to be replaced.
And you were talking about where she actually baked the bread. It was over here, the stove.
Yeah, that's the original beehive oven. Unfortunately, someone took the back of it out.
Well, thank you so much for taking
my
us
pleasure.
inside,
Thank you.
giving us a tour. And as everyone can see, there's a lot of work to be done here. So thank you to the Rotary and everyone who's going to start to be a part of this change. I'm here with residents of Scotch Plains, the Akins family, Alphonse and Matthew, and you guys were just telling me a great story about how you came to Scotch Plains. Can you set that up for us, and then Matthew, you and I will kind of chat about that a little more? Yeah? All right.
Yeah, so we actually discovered the park here about 6 years ago when the realtor promised us this was going to be a passive park. And, finally it's happening. Something is happening here at the community garden. I've been a member of the Frazee house for a number of years. And to finally see the plan coming to life is something that's very, very good for us. So since we've moved here, I've actually had a number of activities with my son personally on this property, flying space rockets and flying kites and just running around here. So finally, at least we'll have company, using the property and enjoying the property the way it's meant to be.
And so, Matthew, what do you love most about living in Scotch Plains?
I think Scotch Plains is a really good place because everyone is very nice and they have a lot of parks and it's very local. Mm-hmm. And speaking about the space rockets, there's a few gone in the lake.
So is that one? So what other memories do you have running around here? I mean, you moved here when you were 3 years old. You're 9 now. You must have some great memories right out here in this park area.
Well, the first time we came here was with my sister, me, and my mom and my dad, and we were trying to fly a space rocket, but we forgot to put the payload in. So the rocket went all the way up, and the parachute came out, and it just stayed there. Mm-hmm. And so we were waiting for it to come down, and it didn't come down.
Yeah, mm-hmm. So what happened then? Because we lost it in the lake, right?
And then a couple hours later, when we were about to leave, after flying a couple more space rockets, we finally saw the space rocket coming down into the lake, as you can see over there. Mm-hmm. It was really funny.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. So it sounds like you're going to have a lot of new memories now. There's going to be a garden, vegetable gardens, beautiful flowers grown here. What do you think about planting, and do you like to plant?
My mom and I, we tried to grow a garden back at my house, and it ended up, instead of being Mom's garden, it ended up being Dad's garden.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right. Daddy came and rescued.
Does Daddy have a green thumb? As they say, he helps the vegetables grow. No.
That did the cleanup and getting the produce out of the garden. So we need to do some repairing it right now. But it was a great experience for my wife and I and my son working on the garden, watering it all the time, and then finally getting the produce out of it. So it's a great thing. So when I finally heard that this is going to happen here, I said, wow, we need to definitely get involved, because this is going to be a great experience. And if it's a community thing, there's a lot of knowledge sharing that's going to happen as well. So it's a good thing for us to participate and be a member of this thing here.
Great. And Matthew, also the Frazee house is here. Do you talk about this historical site with your family?
Yeah, in Boy Scouts, we came here, but we didn't go inside the house. We came near here, and we started talking about how Betty Frazee gave bread to George Washington. And when the Red Capes came, they said, "Give us some bread." And she said, "I give this to you with fear, not from love." And they said, "Okay, we won't take it then."
That's a really great retelling.
I didn't think he remembers this. This is something we did in Boy Scouts. I mean, he's also a very active member of the Boy Scouts here in South Scotch from Coles.
He's the committee chairman of the Boy Scouts.
Right.
Wow, that's great.
So I didn't even think he'll remember all that, but that's good. Very good, Matthew.
It's wonderful. Well, it seems like Scotch Plains offers you a lot of good history, offers you a lot of great places to play, so a really rich life for you to grow up, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, one of my dad's friends just told me a story when he was little, and there used to be a zoo here. And so what they would do is, the zoo is all over the place. So him and his friends, they said, why don't we go so you can see the zoo? Yeah. And the one time they snuck into the zoo, and the place they snuck into was the bull's cage.
Oh no. They were brave. Or,
and they said, well, I think this was a bad idea. And so there's a bridge over there. So they went under the bridge and they came running away. It was so fun.
Oh my gosh, yes, I've heard about the Terry Lou Zoo and never had the experience, but heard it was a good part of this community too. A lot of memories felt there too. Well, thank you so much, Aikens family. We hope to see you out here gardening one day too. You know, what better way to close an Earth Day program than to hang with my buddy here, Matthew. Matthew, you were telling me before you learned some great things today.
I learned today that it's very important that everyone here has a great time, and that even the smallest things can grow into the biggest things.
That's really awesome. It's small things, communities. When we come together, we can make big change happen, right? Well, thank you so much, and we do hope that everyone from our communities is going to start to come back out to Scotch Plains once we start seeing the community garden grow. It's going to be really fun, right?
Yeah. I can't wait to plant my purple potatoes.
That's fantastic. Well, from all of us here in Scotch Plains to all of you, happy Earth Day.
Happy Earth Day.